Ariana Grande finally released her highly anticipated 6th studio album, Positions. Positions is noted for being Ariana's third album to come at us at a fast pace, right after releasing Sweetener and Thank You Next within 6 months of each other, and having an album cycle where its singles lasted for quite some time. She's still pumping out music. Ariana does not take any breaks. She's been working overtime, releasing #1 hits with Lady Gaga and Justin Bieber this year. Ariana Grande has expressed how she wants to drop music without intense promotion in the past. My dream has always been to be obviously not a rapper, but to put out music in the way that a rapper does. I feel there are certain standards that pop women are held to that men aren't, Grande said. We have to do the teaser before the single, then do the single, and wait to do the pre-order. And radio has to impact before the video. We have to do the discount on this day and all this shit. It's just like, bruh, I just want to fucking talk to my fans and sing and write music and drop it the way these boys do. Why do they get to make records like that and I don't? So I do, and I did, and I am, and I will continue to. And she's reached that point in her career where she can freely do that. I will say though, there is a such thing as oversaturation and giving too much too soon. It could cause for the record to be overshadowed or even having quantity over quality. It would be best if you always gave your fans time to miss you and build up anticipation. Not that those are the must-dos, but I think it's a smarter thing to do. It makes the album feel more like an experience for the fans. But we also have to take into consideration that this is the fast food age of music. A lot of albums don't last too long. There's so much accessibility to new music, so when people see their favorite artist not dropping new music, it's normal for them to have an inclination for new music. With that being said, Ariana Grande listeners are not suffering from lack of music, since she arguably just released the 2 most important albums of her career a little over 2 years ago. Like I said, she released features this year, and her past 2 albums she was doing the full pop star promotion while at it. Music videos, monstrous singles, a tour, and consistent performances. The fact that she released 2 or 3 albums in a short amount of time isn't impressive. The speed itself isn't remarkable. She's a recording artist for a living. That's her job. She's always going to have a vault of unreleased songs. What is in fact impressive is releasing 2 or 3 quality albums in such a short amount of time, because releasing them so fast could allude to it being a rushed and half-baked album. But when you deliver 2 solid albums back to back, that deserves all the praise, especially since pop releases tend to be very calculated and most commercial pop stars are not releasing albums back to back at such a quick speed. With this new album, Positions, I feel like she set out to cultivate a more mature image. The topic of sex and vulgarity is heavy on this album, and she doesn't hold back. Positions was the song that kicked off this moment in Ariana's career. The song is just okay, definitely not my favorite, and in my opinion, one of the weakest songs on the album. It's not one of her most catchy or memorable songs, and for the most part, it's just standard R&B flavored pop. With that being said, there are quite a few strong points in this album. However, even though I wouldn't call it a concept album, it does tell a story about falling in love again, and you can see it as a recurring theme throughout the album. It's a more R&B toned album while still being very pop, and it tells a story about love being lost and found again, while also seeing Ariana embrace her sexuality like never before. The album kicks off with Shut Up, an R&B pop song with some plucky strings. This album is drowned with classical music influences, which is something you wouldn't expect. There's a lot of classical instrumentation incorporated with contemporary pop elements throughout the album. It's a cheeky FU to critics of Ariana. My presence sweet and my aura bright, diamonds good for my appetite. Guess it just clicked one night, all the demons help me see differently, so don't be sad for me. How you be spending your time? How you be using your time? You be so worried about mine. You know you sound so dumb, so maybe you should shut up. It is used as a statement song on this album and not a role anyone is used to hearing Ariana take on. The ending of this song sounds like a Disney movie and it's very pleasing to the ears. 34 plus 35 equals 69, and that's precisely what the second song in this album is about. It has a classical 90s influenced trap sound going on, and it's one of the most explicit songs on the album, where Ariana plainly asks her lover can they stay up all night and fuck her to the daylight. She also asks for them to give her them babies, which just goes without saying. It's the fun stage in the relationship where it's carefree. There's a few collaborations on this album, and the first one to arrive on the tracklist is alongside Doja Cat on a song called Motive. Motive strikes me as a house R&B song, and thematically Ariana asks her interest before they get into a relationship what their motive is with being in a relationship with her. Are they worth her time essentially is what the track is about. Just Like Magic is a pretty short song on the album, and it's lighthearted. The approach with the lyrics is quite obviously hip-hop influenced. I get everything I want cause I attract it. Take my pen and write some love letters to heaven, she says. It's pretty braggadocious, and there's some really pretty synths on this song. Off the Table is her second collab on the LP, and also her second collab with The Weeknd. If Love Me Harder can be seen as a leap into Ariana's world for Abel, especially considering it was one of his first commercial pop songs, then Off the Table can be seen as a leap into Abel's world for Ariana. It's a slow R&B jam. The song reads like a relationship with Abel and Ariana, both playing their respective roles. Will I ever love the same way again is the opening line. Will I ever love somebody the way I did? Never thought you'd be so damn hard to replace. If I can't have you, is love completely off the table? It sees Abel trying to convince Ariana to fall in love, and Ariana being unsure about whether it's worth it or not. Abel is obviously representative of the male role in Ariana's life. 6:30 is the following track. The term 6:30 refers to when the sex is so intense you can't get aroused again, but she plays it off by using it as a time to schedule the hookup. She repeatedly asks, "Are you down like 6:30?" Safety Net is her third and final collaboration on the album with Ty Dolla $ign, and it's one of the standout tracks on this album for me. Quite surprising how much chemistry Ty Dolla $ign and Ariana have on this track. It talks about falling in love fast and being scared. Ariana definitely had a case of philophobia while creating this album. It's an R&B pop ballad with some nice vocal humming backgrounds, tripping, falling with no safety net. My Hair is another standout track for me. It's a jazzy 90s R&B tune with a hint of lo-fi. Throughout the song, she instructs her lover to run their hands through her hair and tells them don't be scared. It has an amazing and evocative vocal performance. Ariana's vocal performance for a lot of this record is pretty laid back, but this song she takes it all the way there, and she sings the entire ending of this song in her whistle register, and it adds a super sensual feel to the song. Nasty was the only song previewed before the album's release. It lives up to the title well and has some of the most explicit lyrics. I just want to make time for you, swear it's just right for you, like this designed for you. Tonight I want to get nasty. It's a typical trap R&B song. West Side is a short song. I feel like it works more as an interlude than a fully thought out song. It's very obviously influenced by Timbaland and Aaliyah's signature sound in the 90s. Thematically, it sees Ariana giving her lover an ultimatum. She's not waiting around for anyone. Love Language is an energetic and sensual track. It's sassy and domineering, and really reminds me of the eclectic sound that Sweetener had present. It has a lot of string arrangements in it. It gives me 90s R&B doo-wop energy, and the strings give it a slight cinematic touch. Although I feel it is energetic, more so thanks to the instrumental, her vocal delivery is very laid back, light, airy, and doo-wop inspired. She basically talks about being in love and her lover understanding her desires. Obvious feels more like a direct confessional track, about her lover having her right where he wants her, and it being, well, quite obvious. She's opened up to him and she's happy, and talks about her love not costing a thing, and how material things won't compensate for love. This is at the point in the relationship on the album where she's completely fallen in love and is smitten. POV, also known as Point of View, is the closer on the album, and it's such a sweet ending to the album. She wants to learn to love herself the way her boyfriend loves her, and she says she would love to see herself from her lover's point of view, and trust herself like he does, and she loves him even though she's scared. It's a string-backed ballad fused with elements of trap music. Now that I did my track-by-track run-through of the album, here are my personal thoughts. It's a solid release from Ariana, and she takes on a more mature approach thematically. It's her most sexually explicit album to date, and definitely something I would consider a natural progression for her. I do feel like the lyrics on this album can feel downright half-baked at certain points throughout the record. It's not a dark or deep album, so I don't try to view it through that lens. Songs like 3-4 plus 3-5 are cheeky and lighthearted, but they still have some of the worst lyrics on the album. but some of the great production on the album allows the lyrical flops on this album fly under the radar. I would say the album can feel like a diary at times, and it's extremely reflective of Ariana's headspace when she made the record. So I do appreciate the personal aspect of the album. The production on the album has a lot of classical instrumentation incorporated into a lot of the songs, and plucky strings. I like that those sounds were utilized in a way that combines it with other genres. It's not something you hear too often. There were a few duds on the album. I think it could have been cut down to a concise 10-track album. It offers a mixed bag, but some songs just weren't needed. The vocal arrangements are very well done and there's a lot of harmonies. All in all, it was an enjoyable listen. You never knew what you were going to hear next. Is she going to go there? Is she going to back off? What sounds will we hear next? Are just a few of the questions that popped into my mind while listening. I will say this album is definitely an artistic evolution for her, and gives fans and general listeners a bare-eyed look at a side we've never seen from the pop princess. It may not be her strongest release yet, and it's definitely not my favorite from her, but it's her most unapologetic to date by far. Ariana Grande is all grown up, and although she's given us hints throughout her career, Positions is her first album to fully take it there, if you know what I mean. One listen and Positions will definitely have you switching positions with your love interest. On the dance floor, duh, you couldn't possibly think I have such a dirty mind. Shame on you.